Welcome to Embedded FM. I'm Alicia White, here with Christopher White. This week, we are going to talk to YouTube sensation Simone Giertz, a maker by profession who is into robots, programming, and duct tape. Nothing can possibly go wrong with the show. Before we get started, do you all remember Chris Speck from episode 78? It was the Happy Cows episode. We talked about empathy-driven development, writing code that's nice to yourself, other developers and users. He's looking for some other developers. Actually, it's his employer who's looking, iRobot, the maker of Roomba and other bomb disposal and or cat-carrying robots. They're looking for all sorts of embedded help. You don't have to be a robot or a roboticist to apply. They're even looking for Androids and cloud developers, or Android programmers and cloud devs. Most of the work is in Boston and Pasadena. Check out their openings on the show notes and apply. To bribe you into considering it, there is a contest to win a copy of my book, Making Embedded Systems. Send me your favorite fictional robot, and I will choose a winner using a random number generator. I hear that iRobot will let you build your favorite robot, so send your resume to csvec@irobot.com. That'll be in the show notes, of course. If you get confused and send him your favorite robot and me your resume, that's fine. That's hilarious. I'm good with it. Okay, let's get started.
Hi, Simone. Thanks for being on the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Could you tell us about yourself?
Oh, what do you want to know? What area?
Well, like, if we
professionally
had just met you at a random conference or maker event, how would you introduce yourself on a panel?
So I'm an inventor and YouTuber. So I run a YouTube channel about electronics, and actually what's become my niche is the robots. And I know you're probably going to bleep that. So I mean, it's robots that are very good at being bad. Yeah, or that kind of solve problems that don't exist or solve problems that do exist, but in a not very efficient way.
So not evil robots, just not very good robots.
I mean, evil is a finicky word. Depends on they could be evil. I've built some things that actually really scare me.
They certainly look
but they're
evil.
Used for good. Yeah. They're used for good, so I guess they're not evil. I, the creator, am not very evil, I think. So my robots are also probably pretty nice.
Okay, I have a burning question, and we will get to like actually helping other people understand this question. But for my own personal edification, is there really a Chad?
Oh gosh. This is funny. That one just kind of took off. So I made a video I made a machine that chops vegetables for me. And that one is probably the most terrifying robot I've built because it just flings two pretty big knives everywhere. And I kind of made a TV shop commercial for it where it was just, I don't know, I was just some very bitter housewife, I think, who was like, oh, this is what will happen to you, Chad. And then I like chopped a zucchini. And people were really like, oh my gosh, who is this Chad guy? Like, what has he done to her? He can't. Simone, I'll marry you instead. Dump Chad. but it was just really, I just chose a random name. So I'm sorry to all Chads out there. No offense.
Well, that's probably good. I wondered if it was the best, worst internet breakup ever.
Maybe. Well, maybe that's a niche too. Fun breakups. Very sad niche.
Okay, before we actually get more into that robot, because I do have lots of questions, we're going to do lightning round where we ask you quick questions that should have one-word answers, and then we try not to ask you for explanations. But then that never works. So we'll try to do the one-word answers.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay, favorite fictional robot.
Oh, never realized you sent me these questions before, and I was like, oh, I really need to think about that one.
We sent part of them. We're getting it more, so it gets harder.
I don't know. I feel like I'm put on the spot. I can't think of it. I'm like, the only ones I think of is like R2-D2 and WALL-E.
Okay, which of those do you prefer?
Definitely R2-D2.
Yeah,
WALL-E.
totally.
I actually never really liked that movie. I'm not sure why.
Me neither.
But at the same time, I must admit, I'm like not a huge Star Wars fan.
She's going to be terrible at lightning round.
Yeah,
perfect.
Okay, sorry. One word
We did a
replies.
whole show.
R2D2. Next one.
All right. Most important to your daily work: a soldering iron, a video camera, or a Band-Aid?
Soldering iron.
It was
Can
up
I
there,
have all
wasn't
of them?
it? Do you prefer living on a boat or on a space station?
Space station.
Yeah.
Any day.
Yeah.
But that is because I live on a boat. So
It's
that's
not
like
exciting.
everyday life. Space station would be something extraordinary.
Should we bring back the dinosaurs?
Yes, but in miniature versions.
Oh, excellent. Have you seen the new Star Wars movie?
I haven't actually. I feel so bad. This is like one of my biggest shames because as of like a couple of weeks back, I had not watched a single one. And this is terrible. I feel very embarrassed about that. But now I've plowed through 5 of them and I'm kind of working my way to watching the new one.
Which one
cinema.
haven't you seen?
Well, she hasn't seen Force
That is
Awakens.
how
but
can-
No, she
yeah,
said
I
she
haven't
watched
seen
5.
The Force Awakens. Yeah, but I've watched them in the order in which they were filmed.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I asked a Star Wars fan friend
I think
what
you should
was
just
the proper way of doing it.
Skip the next one.
Skip the next one.
It's not important.
Oh, really?
I mean, you know what happens? Like Obi-Wan throws Darth Vader into a volcano. Who
You
the
just
hell cares
spoiled the
rest?
whole movie.
Oh, what? You're spoiling it.
You just spoiled the movie.
I thought everybody knew that.
No, everybody
I
doesn't know
didn't- I
that. If
didn't
they haven't seen the
know.
movies, they don't know that.
I
Well, I
didn't
knew
know
that before I saw
Now
the
I know
movies.
that.
Well, now you've ruined it.
Skip
Well-
to Force Awakens. It's so much better.
Okay.
That-
Point
that-
taken.
That number 3 was just so depressing. Just skip it. I mean, the first half is great. Watch the first half, and then when they all get like cranky
Okay,
and stuff.
You're just ruining it.
But
You just ruined Star Wars.
Can we just skip to the next one?
Next question.
question.
Next question.
Full of spoilers.
Introvert or extrovert? I can't believe you just spoiled Star Wars.
Me,
You.
extrovert.
All right.
Definitely. With a sprinkle of introvert.
a favorite of your videos?
I think I my upcoming one.
Spoilers.
Said like a true,
Spoilers, no.
a true promoter.
Yeah. I don't have a planned upcoming one, but I assume it will be great.
Oh, I see.
A 4 p.m. drink: champagne, coffee, or Mountain Dew.
I don't drink coffee after lunch because then I can't sleep. What does Mountain Dew?
Oh, right. It's
Caffeinated
yellow.
soda.
It's caffeinated
It's
yellow.
Yellow.
Yeah.
I would say beer, which was not an option.
That's fine.
No,
I'll
that is
give
an
her
often
anyway.
added option.
Can I just throw in a disclaimer?
Sure.
The reason I don't know what Mountain Dew is because I'm Swedish.
That's right.
For those of you who don't know.
It's probably called something else in Sweden. Like,
I don't think we have it actually. There are a
Yellow
lot of
gross
stuff that we
water.
don't have. We got Skittles just like 2 years back and only in like special stores.
Okay, last lightning round question. Favorite Muppet?
Gosh. I
it
have
Swedish
never
Chef
watched
or
the
Beaker?
Muppets.
Aw,
Oh.
man.
I haven't watched the Muppets. Sorry. I blame that on being Swedish too.
You blame a lot on being Swedish.
Yeah, but it's as long as there aren't any other Swedes listening to this, then I can get away with a lot of stuff. I can just be like, for not having watched any Star Wars episodes, I can be like, oh, but we didn't get them in Sweden until 2007 because it's a socialist country. And yeah.
And their capitalist message was interfering?
Yeah, it was just filtered out by the government.
I don't think that's true.
Well, it could be.
Only
We
Sweden
don't
and
know.
North Korea have never seen Star Wars.
Only in Sweden.
If she has,
No, it's totally not true.
if she's
But it could
unfamiliar
be.
with the Muppets, she won't be offended when I ask you to say bork, bork, bork.
I'm not saying that.
Bork, bork, bork.
I'm not saying that.
Okay, let's get off of lightning round.
It was the slowest lightning round ever. I think that was more like it.
We've had worse.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah,
Glad
we did it
hear
to each
that.
other one time, and it was yeah. Okay,
But you're married.
yeah, exactly.
Everything is just longer. Maybe not.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
okay.
chopping vegetables.
Yes.
You built this thing that's too large. I mean, really larger than necessary chef's knives attached to servos, attached to
Yeah.
an Arduino.
Yes.
And then you put this on a chopping block and you just let it chop. Clunk, 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 clunk.
Yeah, I just let it chop away.
Why?
But that's actually, I mean, that's actually a serious question. I mean, I get a lot of whys in general. I think that is probably my most frequent question. Like, people are always like, why do you build these things? And I mean, I'm more like, why not? Like, why aren't you building these things?
I like my fingers.
You like your fingers. Okay, good reason. The chopping machine is maybe a bad example. But I think overall why I build stuff is just, I mean, I'm not an engineer. I'm definitely not an engineer. I mean, I'm just a hobbyist who really recently have just really fallen in love with robotics and DIY electronics. And the way I learn is by just having fun and playing around with the different tools. But as for the chopping machine more specifically, I think the thought process went along the ways of like, yeah, I chop a lot of vegetables. It's boring. How can I make it more fun and automate it?
Do you think not being an engineer by training makes you less afraid to try certain things?
I think so, because I'm not very concerned with doing things in a correct way, because I don't know if there is a correct way. So I think overall, I just have the mentality of trying stuff out and learning by doing. And I mean, I fail a lot, but that's just kind of the way I learn. So yeah, I think definitely it's just a different mindset.
Well, actually, my why question was why Arduino?
Why are you? Oh, sorry, I just jumped right on it. Why don't you build stuff? I was getting all snarky. Why Arduino? You know what? The true answer is I could probably try to pull something fancy off, but the true answer is like Arduino is the only microcontroller I feel comfortable with using because it's the only one I've actually really used. So that's just kind of what, and I think it's, to me, like, I just kind of want to show, like, I don't know, give people who are beginners a chance to feel that that is something that they could do. And I think Arduino is very beginner friendly. And also, I'm wondering, because I had a lot of people ask me like why I used it at all and why I just didn't have the continuous servo motors connected to a power outlet or just to a power supply. But I mean, they kind of just, the servo motors just slowly lift up the knives in the beginning, which gives me a chance to kind of put them in and to have that kind of speed control. I thought I needed an Arduino. Maybe I don't. You two are experts, right?
I think an Arduino actually is a good choice, especially since you did describe how to build this on your blog. So you're not just building it for your own entertainment and chopping purposes. You also are building it for an audience, and the Arduino expands your audience. But I'm thinking overall, like, because a continuous servo motor is controlled through PWM,
right?
And how could I do that with? I mean, it's just not just power on or off.
It would have been a fixed speed. You might have been able to put a resistor in there and a pot and twisted the potentiometer so that you could change the speed. But
right. But that's.
Everybody reaches for a microcontroller now because
it's simpler. It's a nice, easy way.
Well, it's simpler and it's flexible. Well, you know, if you want the knives to do something different the next day, you don't have to build a new circuit.
Yeah, if you put a cleaver on there and need a different PWM.
Exactly.
Or if you want to add a laser light show to the knives.
Yeah, that's good. It's always good to have an Arduino. But I also kind of, initially the idea was that I was going to have it chopped to like the da 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 da. Dun, 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 dun. And then I needed the Arduino. But this is like a really good example of how I learn and how having a pretty like smart audience has helped me a lot, because just talking to you people, sorry. I mean, I learn a bunch of stuff because people are like, oh, why did you use an Arduino? And I have to think like, oh, why did I do that? And just kind of explain a smarter way of doing things. So, I mean, I learned so much from the people watching my videos. So, yeah.
So, what other ways do you plan to nominate yourself for the Darwin Awards? Wait a minute, maybe do we need to explain what the Darwin Awards are?
I think most of our listeners get it. If not, there's this thing called Google.
All right.
Google. I mean, it's an award for people who die in stupid ways. Yeah, people often joke that I am on the way of getting myself a Darwin Award because I've just kind of built more and more dangerous things. I don't know. I'm pretty secret about my future projects. I don't really talk about them. I think.
Is that because they're currently exploding right now?
Yes. I just want to get them under control before I talk about them. No, but actually the upcoming ones that I have are not that dangerous. They're a little bit friendlier.
I can see that. The dangerous ones, it's hard to encourage people to build them.
Yeah.
If only for liability reasons.
I'm waiting for that lawsuit. But that's not really, I kind of, in the beginning with my projects, I wrote very precise step-by-step tutorials or how people can build it. And then I realized it's ridiculous. Nobody really wants to reproduce my stuff. And also that's not really the idea. I mean, to me, it's my goal is just to inspire people to learn about electronics and just build their own stuff. So I don't think really my goal is for people to kind of duplicate my projects, but maybe get ideas from them and just get started with their own ideas. Yeah.
But your videos seem to emphasize your failure of design more than, and successful implementation of such failure of design. Is there some sort of subtext we should be getting from them?
I mean, it's kind of funny because I think, a lot of people just write off the projects that I do as stupid, which they obviously are. The ideas aren't the smartest, but I think there's definitely a lot of thought behind it because this is the way that I realized that I learn the most efficiently. I started teaching myself programming about 2.5 years ago, and I got an Arduino starter kit 2 years ago. And to me, the way I learn is not by sitting down with a book. It's very idea driven, and I just have an idea that I feel strongly for, and then I just have to learn all these things along the way. And to me, it's if when I was in school and I was studying, it was the learning process was very duty driven. The main fuel that you have to learn is that it's because of duty, because you have a test coming up and all these things that you have to do. But I realized that to me, it's a lot more efficient if my main fuel is enthusiasm and excitement. And I think that to me, that's a very serious thing because I see that getting people enthusiastic about something is, to me, that's everything. And I happen to be enthusiastic about shitty robots. So to me, it's then I'm okay, that's what I will build because that is how I will keep a very sustainable learning process and just kind of sharing that enthusiasm I have with other people. So, but if I would be enthusiastic about something else, then that is where I would put my effort. So that it happens to be dorky, stupid robots just is because that's what I like.
Well, and it's, yes, this maintenance of enthusiasm by building what you enjoy is so important, especially for things you aren't necessarily being paid for.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's, I understand that a lot of people just kind of see it as stupid. But to me, I think people should really cherish their enthusiasm because it's so valuable. It's such a key ingredient in any enjoyable career or hobby or anything. It's your enthusiasm that is the thing. So to me, I just really cherish my enthusiasm and try to kind of kindle it.
I think that is so great because that is what gets you through the drudgery of reading about Arduino PWMs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it's like building the chopping machine. I had to learn a bunch of stuff about continuous servo motors and PWM signals, and I had to go through. I mean, it's obviously not very complicated things for many people, but for me as just kind of this layman, I mean, it was kind of tricky because like the continuous servo motors I had could only read PWM signals in a certain window. I mean, it was only like a certain pulse length that they could read. If they were shorter or longer, they couldn't read them. And that didn't translate to the Arduinos like PWM write 0 or analog write 0 to 255. And just for me to like kind of convert that, it took me a long time just finding that. But I kind of powered my way through that because I was really enthusiastic about getting the chopping machine working. So yeah.
The other thing I think is cool is in your videos, you kind of demonstrate the sense of humor when things go wrong. And often for myself, when I'm working on a project for work, when things go wrong, I get very angry and I don't find it funny at all. And I think having a more light attitude toward failure might be helpful for people. And
Yeah.
seeing, oh, well, it did this. Well, that's hilarious. Not, oh God, I got it wrong.
But I mean, yeah. But it's definitely. I mean, it's not always like that things go wrong in a fun way.
Right.
I mean, it's like the most terrible robot is the one that doesn't start. But that's like not very entertaining.
That's true.
I mean, so but yeah. I mean, I try to embrace when things go wrong because they go wrong a lot. I mean, I have no idea what I'm doing most of the time, so of course things are going to go wrong. But that's kind of a part of it.
I guess that actually makes me have another question about a different video you've done. What exactly did you learn about motors by building an alarm clock that hits you in the face with a rubber arm? Was it that you shouldn't have long hair?
Alternative A, that you shouldn't have long hair. Alternative B, that getting slapped in the face is not a pleasant way to wake up. I think actually I got a really good learning from that one. So one of the things that a lot of people pointed out after I published it is that I didn't need an Arduino, which I'm so stuck in the Arduino box that I was just kind of mind blown by that. But basically the way, or the wake up machine as it's called, the way that it worked is that I wired a clock so I could read the signal when it went off. And I just read that signal with an Arduino Uno, and then I had the Arduino Uno control a relay. But then, as people pointed out, of course, like, why would I need the Arduino Uno in there just passing along the digital signal when I could just have the clock control the relay directly? So that was probably a good learning. And also, yeah, long hair and things that rotate isn't a great combination. Because I got very stuck in it. And if for those of you who haven't watched it, yeah, I have a rubber arm that slaps me in the face. And after a couple of takes, it just kind of, rolls up with my hair and I get stuck in it. And there was like a short moment where I was like, this is like seriously bad. Because I was home alone and I'm like, am I going to have to cut my hair off? And it was just kind of right at the top of my head, like right on the forehead or above the forehead. So it's like not a very charming place to just have a bald spot. But I managed to just kind of tear it off the wall and get myself out of it. But it was pretty painful.
This is where the Arduino could have come in, because you could have monitored the speed of the hand. And if it slowed down because it was grabbing your hair and scalping you, you could have turned it off.
If I would only have had that
current feedback, yeah. Either speed or the amount of the motor drawing more current would have indicated that it was
murdering you.
Getting
Can you get that out of the relay?
No,
you have to get it out of the motor.
And if it doesn't have any data out?
Oh, you would put some resistors in parallel.
Hey, don't look at me.
In parallel with the motor. Maybe parallel, maybe serial. I'd have to look it up.
We're gonna get
I think email. Parallel, yeah. especially since
Oh,
I
and then
just
you
did
can
this.
just read that voltage drop,
Yes.
or
Yes.
oh,
And that will indicate
cool.
how much the motor is sucking current. And if it suddenly starts sucking a lot of current, then it's being
It's
stopped. Of course, you're going to have to
probably stuck.
balance like the amount of additional current from when it hits you versus the constant amount of additional current from when it's tangling in your hair.
Or you might have to time it and say, well, it's been drawing more current for a second.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Or maybe I should just not use it at all.
No, I think we can fix this. I think we can.
I think we can make this safe. I think we can take it to market. That's actually a really fun thing. I like one of the comments or most frequent comments that I get, or like a frequent comment that I get, and it always cracks me up, is people who don't understand that the projects I built aren't very serious. Like, and there are some people, some people are just like, oh my God, this is terrible. Why would anyone buy this? But some people are like heartbreakingly nice about it and are like, oh, Simone, you're getting there. Like, not there yet, but I think you just got to tweak your ideas a little bit and you'll be able to take it to market. That just really both warms and breaks my heart.
Well, without the cloud, none of these are going to take off anyway. So,
Yeah, I think you should ditch the Arduino in favor of the SparkFun thing so that you can Internet of Things these things.
Oh, but this is also...
you could have people log in and turn it on to slap you at will.
Yeah.
Such a terrible idea that it's almost worth it.
I think I need to collect some data. Maybe I'm thinking of the chopping machine that it collects data, how much vegetables you eat, what type of vegetables you eat, and
you don't actually use that, do
you? No, I don't. Yeah, that's also a thing that actually I find really funny when people are like, "How often do you use your toothbrush helmet?"
Not often enough, probably.
Not often enough.
I would use that thing every day, and the dentist would be like, "Why are your front teeth the only clean teeth?"
Which part of doing this do you like best? The video part or the engineering part?
I think the combination, if I can say that and be diplomatic, to me. But I must say, I think making the videos is a lot of fun, but it's also kind of stressful. Those are like very exhausting days for me because it takes a long time for me to shoot those things, and I'm all alone. I do everything by myself, and it just takes a long time, and it's kind of draining because being enthusiastic in that kind of extroverted way is just very, I don't know, it's very draining, but it's also a lot of fun, of course. But I think I just really like tinkering. I think it's very soothing. And when you're just kind of soldering everything together, I like making like protoboard, just kind of figuring out where to put all the components in a smart way. And it's just, I don't know. I think I like that part the most, actually. Just putting everything together when you have all the parts and just putting it together.
So do you walk us through your process of like making the chopping block itself and then the video?
The chopping machine?
Yeah.
Or just, so I think in general, I get very bored and my brain just kind of entertains itself by just coming up with a lot of different ideas. And then, there are so many ideas. I have so many different ideas, and most of them don't even pass the filter of me like writing them down. But eventually, or like occasionally, I get an idea that I feel really strongly for, and then I'm like, oh gosh, I actually really want to build this. And the chopping machine was one of those. So then I think probably the trickiest part is just sitting down. I have some sort of, I kind of know what I want the machine to do, but I need to figure out just how to do it mechanically. So to me, with the chopping machine, it was just like, how do I actually create a good like chopping motion where it actually like has some sort of strength in like pushing the knife down. And I was thinking initially of just like putting knives directly on the heads of the servo motors. But I was like, yeah, that's really going to damage the servo motors eventually. It will be hard to calibrate it so that it actually hits just right above the cutting board. The servo motors will need to be really fast to get enough I don't know, just enough fling into it. So what I ended up doing was that I had the knives just kind of moving freely up and down, and then I had these metal strings or springs that just pull them back down. So I had the servo motor just lift them up, and then the spring just pull them back down. And to me, like figuring something like that out is probably the part that takes the longest, but it's also very fun. And then I just go on and I try to find parts that make sense to build this with and order parts. And then I just put stuff together and I test run it a little bit. And then I just think of how I want to just kind of tell the story of this machine and like how I want to make a video of it.
And then do you write down what you're going to say on the video, or do you just wing it?
I kind of just wing it. I mean, I can have some points, but I find that like when I have a manuscript, I mean, it depends. Sometimes I make I used to make more just like pure skits. And then it was nicer to have a manuscript, because then I'm not acting myself. I'm kind of acting a character. Yeah. But when I'm myself, it's better to just wing it and just have like a general topic that I know I'm going to talk about.
Otherwise, you can sound very canned and rehearsed.
Yeah.
So I understand that.
Definitely. Yeah. It's hard. It's like smiling on camera.
Yes.
I just hate that. It makes me so uncomfortable. I just want to look grumpy.
And then, so do you just take one take and it's as good as it's going to get? Or do you end up taking like 12 takes and smashing them together?
Oh gosh, it's I mean, I'm always alone when I film stuff. And I think the reason I do that is because it's such an embarrassing process. I think for maybe a 5-minute video, I will have like 40 minutes of material maybe that I cut down. So I have like a sentence that I want to say, and I just say it in 20 different ways. And I don't know, I just had the other day when I was editing a video, or the other week, and my sister was just sitting behind or next to me, and I wasn't wearing any headphones, and she just cracked up because it was actually the video for the chopping machine. And I was like, oh, let's try out some broccoli. And I was like, yeah, let's try out some broccoli. Let's try out some broccoli. And then I was like, and she was just like, oh gosh, Simone, is this what you're doing? And I just realized it's so embarrassing because
is this what you're doing with your life?
Yeah, is this what you're doing with life? Just like shaking a broccoli like a maraca and just being like, this will be fun. And I just realized it's just such an embarrassing thing, because I mean, I'm just playing around and seeing what will work. And then like, I mean, most of the stuff I say, I just look like a total idiot. And I'm like, there's no way I'm taking this into the video. So I just cut everything out until I have like a neat little snippet of video where I feel that I'm actually representable somewhat.
And how long does it take you to go from 45 minutes of raw footage to 5-minute video that you then put on YouTube?
I think that's actually one of the most time-consuming steps. I spend a lot of time in editing. I just get into like this weird kind of tunnel flow where I can just sit and edit a video 5 hours straight and then be like, oh gosh, I haven't had lunch yet. So I think I spend a lot of time, but I think a couple of hours on every video. I think it's a very important stuff, because like, especially in the medium, I mean, YouTube is my main platform, and there it's just, the videos need to be very high paced for people to actually watch it all the way through.
Yeah. I mean, people just stop as soon as it gets the least bit uninteresting, because there are a billion other YouTube videos.
Yeah. So you really, you got to keep a high pace and just, there's almost, I mean, there can be no gaps where you're just like, yeah.
Luckily, we don't have that problem in podcast land. People put on this podcast and are forced to listen to it.
Yeah, they can't turn it off. They don't know how to.
Do you have to do a lot of marketing after you've posted the video?
No, it's been so nice. I mean, I'm a one-woman show all the way through. I have no backup from different companies or anything. So my only marketing, and like a very low budget initially. So like my only marketing has been like posting on Reddit, actually.
So what was the first thing? How did you first kind of become successful with this? Was there a viral moment or?
Yeah, so I think it was actually, I mean, it's all been Reddit.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm seriously forever in debt to that community because that's just kind of where it started taking off for me, especially like /r/robots. I know you're going to bleep that.
I don't think we can bleep that.
You can't bleep. I mean, yeah, SHITTY robots. But when it started taking off, I think the first project that I actually published was the toothbrush helmet. So it's a skateboard helmet that has a little robot arm attached to it, and the toothbrush, and it brushes my teeth. And I just posted that one on Reddit, and I think it got like maybe 400,000 or 500,000 views. And then I made the breakfast machine, and that one got a couple of million views. And then I posted the wake up machine, and that one has, unfortunately, not on YouTube, but mainly on Facebook. But that one's gotten around 100 million views. So
wow,
it's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's pretty mad.
Okay, that does bring up the other question. One of the other things I wanted to talk to you about: comments. Do you read the comments?
I do actually. I read almost all comments.
Is your skin like 2 inches thick?
But it's not. I think I've been so, I don't want to say blessed, but I mean, people have been so nice to me. Some of the comment section that you read, especially for YouTubers, I mean, they're just terrible, like really, really terrible. But people have been so nice to me, and on Reddit too. So I actually haven't gotten that much hate, and the hate that I've gotten is just so, it's just so bad. Like the trolls, and I think overall trolls are probably pretty bad at being trolls. But the ones, I mean, it's just like, it's just ridiculous stuff. So I mean, I just laugh at it.
You did one video where you responded to comments. You put a TENS unit on your face, and whenever you weren't talking, it electrocuted you, which was pretty funny, actually, I have to admit. Although I wondered if you could have pretended instead of continued to electrocute.
No, you got to commit to the bit.
You got to commit to it. Can't. I mean, it's going to be realistic.
A little painful at times.
Yeah, it was surprisingly painful.
Yeah. Yeah, and then your cheeks were very pink afterwards, as though you had been electrocuted for hours on end. It really didn't look pleasant. But you did handle some of the trolly comments just head on.
But I'm not sure I thought that any of those comments were trolly.
Well, there were all the marriage proposals. That's a little odd. But at the beginning, you said some things were mean and just went on.
Yeah. But I think, I mean, of course, it's like always people are going to be like, I mean, the worst ones I get are like, oh, women can't be funny. And that's me. I'm just like, yeah, okay, sure, dude.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, this is why women shouldn't be engineers. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But I think most of the comments, I mean, yeah, I don't think they've been very mean. And people being like, with a wake up machine, I mean, it's always people trying to kind of, I think that's kind of a product of being a woman, or I don't know what it's like for male YouTubers, but it's very, people always try to kind of put a sexual twist on stuff. Like with every machine, they're like, oh, bet she's used that for blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
You mentioned that some people were trying to help you by taking out Arduino or explaining how to do things better, and that can be very useful. How do you decide what's constructive criticism and what's people just being actually jerks?
I don't know. But the thing is, like, even when people are being jerks, there might be a good learning in there. But I think it's maybe when people, I mean, to me, it's getting the amount of attention that my projects have gotten. I've realized that I kind of have a responsibility to make things or to try to make things in as a correct way as possible. because I've definitely started taking more care in like my circuits and just how I design them, just to try to be as correct as possible. But I think, I don't know, maybe when people are like, just write me off as stupid, or I don't know. Yeah, maybe that is like when people are being very constructive. But I think even then they can have good feedback points. But of course, I mean, I think this is kind of still in the start. Ask me in like 2 years, and maybe I'll be like, oh gosh, all these people just telling you what to do and not to do. But at the moment, I don't feel that it's really got into me. And I think that's because, I mean, I'm definitely not claiming to be an expert in any way. I mean, this is a learning process for me. So I mean, I just learn a lot from having people discuss like better ways of building it. And I think that's also like a pretty nice product of it. I mean, a lot of the comments that I get is people being like, oh, you should have done it this way, or like, this is a better way to create this motion. And to me, just kind of getting people trying to solve those ideas or improve the projects that I do. I mean, that's like a good win for me, because that kind of means that people are just getting a lot of ideas and just getting creative with it.
I have some trouble that sometimes I know I should appreciate this person telling me how to do a better job, but on the other hand, why haven't they made any X podcasts or videos or projects or anything? They're just telling me, taking it from the outside, saying, you should do X. And I'm like, if X were that easy, I would have already done it.
It's a lot easier to shoot down a plane than fly it.
Yes, exactly. That's a good metaphor. Is that Swedish?
I just came up with it. No.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Good one. That should be like on your business card or something. Maybe. But I hear you. I mean, but I think, yeah. I don't know. I think maybe it will start getting more annoying as I go on.
Okay.
But so I can really understand that you get a little bit tired of it.
Well, and I'm currently at a crossroads in what I'm doing and getting a lot of criticism on a lot of sides. And so people criticizing my hobby is just annoying. But, you know, there are things to learn, and you sometimes have to sit down and think, well, what is this person trying to tell me that's useful, even though they're in that jerk voice in my head? Maybe if I recast them to be like my mom voice, it will work better.
No, that wouldn't work.
I think just maybe a baby's voice or something.
A baby's voice.
Or I think overall just
screaming and crying.
Whenever somebody writes like mean stuff, just picture that they're like 12 years old and have like a little prepubescent mustache going on.
It's probably fairly accurate most of the
time. Yeah. So, do you end up working for yourself, or do you work for other people?
I work for myself.
But you do some Kickstarter videos.
Yeah. So I used to work at a company called Punch Through. And they, that was like where I learned most of the stuff I know about electronics. So they have an Arduino compatible board that's called the Light Blue Bean, which is like, it's an Arduino with Bluetooth Low Energy. And my job there was just to build fun stuff with it and just show people what you could do with it. And I also made a Kickstarter video for the Bean Plus, which is like kind of the next generation bean.
What did you do?
In the video?
Yeah, I mean, what did you do for Light Blue? I mean, what did you make out of it?
I just built stuff. But I didn't I built like a little light bulb that you could control the color of with your phone. I made like a smartphone controlled RC car. Or no, actually it was somebody else. But I don't know. I did like a few projects, but I realized like one of the good, and my job was really fun there. I mean, my job description was just to build cool stuff. So it was a lot of fun, but there's just something when you're representing a company, it's kind of harder to go all the way out. I just remember that I wanted to build like a popcorn catapult that you could control with your phone. So if you were lonely and didn't have friends who could throw popcorn at you that you were supposed to catch with your mouth, then you could just do it by yourself instead.
Practice.
And I just really, because I just got started with building it. And then I was like kind of embarrassed of my idea because it's not, I mean, it'll somehow represent the company. And it was just hard to let your freak flag fly when you were representing a company. So I just realized it was a lot more fun to build projects for myself because then it's just for me and I'm the only one who needs to stand for it.
What's another one of those idea versus implementation? Like you can have an idea that may be silly or maybe what other people think is bad or may just be funny. And that's separate from doing a good implementation using a good board and everything. And it's the comedy ones that are the best. Do you think having a lot of comedy in your videos is important to getting people interested in engineering? Is that part of the reason you do the videos?
I think overall, to me, yeah, definitely. But for me, just the way I work is I just like comedy in general, and I kind of put that into almost everything I do. But I think definitely, I mean, that's also a good learning from when I was working at Punch Through, because like the serious projects and the projects that are actually good, nobody shares them. Like
no, because you
people
can
are
make
like,
money off of them.
you get money off them, or I mean, people. It's just like not as shareable as other things. But the products that were a little bit more ridiculous, those were the ones who actually went well. And I mean, I see the comedy just in general as like, I mean, it's kind of syrup in your medicine. I mean, it's just something that you kind of sprinkle on top to get people through it. And to me, like one of the nicest comments I get is people who are like, "Oh, I never thought I would watch like a 6-minute video about transistors or were these words like a current and transistors, but I just did and I enjoyed it." And to me, that's like such a valuable thing because it means that if you just make it fun, you can reach people who wouldn't normally be interested in this kind of thing.
Yeah, I took apart a robot, the BB-8 robot, and from the new Star Wars movie you haven't seen, it's very cute. The robot is
spoilers. Come on.
And a lot of people read through my article about how the PWM works because it was about BB-8. It was like I tricked them into learning about motors because they were already so fascinated by the cute little robot.
Yeah, it works like a charm.
Yeah. Your title is Creative Technologist. What does that mean?
I don't know. I think I'm
scrapping
that title.
CEO?
CEO. Yeah, CEO. Then you have a lot of responsibilities. But I think
it doesn't have to stand for Chief Executive Officer. You know that, right?
What could it stand for? Cereal eater?
Chief Explosives Operator?
Yes, I'll go for that one.
Comedic Explosives Ostrich.
Ostrich?
I don't think that was.
Putting my head in the sand. I think I went by the title Creative Technologist for some time, but that's kind of it's a nice title because it's very fluffy and you can kind of put what you want into
what it means. Yeah.
It's like I think the general creative technologist is somebody who works at an ad agency and who is like the coder who implements all the creative ideas and just kind of has both the creative and the technical side. But I mean, I don't really work in an agency and I don't know what it means. So I've just kind of gone by inventor, but that just also sounds like kind of Donald Ducky.
All titles should sound Donald Ducky.
Ducky, yeah.
I once had Santa's elf on my business card. It was the best.
But that's nice. I like that one.
It confused the poor Japanese battery vendors when they came in and took my business card.
Oh, but that's maybe a good confusion.
At the time, I was supposed to be professional, so maybe not.
At least you didn't have like Santa's Little Helper at hotmail.com.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, I think somebody on Reddit gave me the title Inventortainer. And I really like that one.
Yeah, I can see that one. I can see how that would fit too.
But I don't know. I'm just kind of, I change it like socks every 2 weeks.
So what's it like to live on a houseboat?
I love how you just let that one float. Okay,
swim on.
Okay, what's it like living on a houseboat? Living on a houseboat is not as romantic as people picture it, I think.
Is it fixed or do you move around?
Fixed, mostly, but I could move it around.
Is it in Sweden?
Yeah.
Isn't the water really cold there?
What does that have to do with the boat?
I just think if you're on cold water, I would rather have a houseboat in like the Bahamas.
Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, I was thinking, I was actually a couple of weeks back when I was hanging out with my mom, and I was like, what would it be like if you had a house made out of metal? And she was like, Simone, that is what you have. It was just, not one of my smartest moments. But yeah, you're basically in a metal container submerged partially into water. So it's not, this is not the most pleasant time of the year, but it's.
I guess if it was above water, it would just be covered in frozen water. And so you're just like, this is warmer than it could be.
Maybe. I'm not sure how that plays out. But I think other than it being a total hassle and things constantly break. But that's just kind of boat life. But other than that, I think it's a pretty good living option. I like that it's if you live in an apartment, you have certain expectations on the standards. Like the kitchen needs to be a certain way, the bathroom needs to be a certain way. But if you live on a boat, you can just kind of do whatever you want.
Do you find it gives you ample opportunity for projects?
Yeah, because it's also, I'm not very, but I'm not very good at building things. And like, if I was in an apartment, I wouldn't try building a wall by myself. But on my boat, I can kind of do that and just try it out. And like, it's a little bit crooked and I don't know, it doesn't look perfect, but it's, I don't know, I just have more freedom of fixing things myself and building things myself because you don't expect the same standard.
There's some really good niceness with I did this. The DIYers have some truth there that it is sort of fun to be able to say I did it, except when it comes to sewage.
Yeah, sewage. Yeah. And also when you're like, I did this and it looks terrible.
Yes.
That's kind of the conclusion that I've come to for the last years. Yeah, it's like, I can do most things, but they just turn out terrible when I try to do it myself. So I should just hire people to do it instead.
But it's nice to know. And if you've done it yourself, you can ask them the right questions. Yeah. Yeah, you learn a lot of stuff because you're put in a lot of situations where you just need to handle problems and there's nobody to call. So I just, as much as I hate that, it's also pretty nice because you're just forced to learn things and just to get stuff done. And see, this is how I'm tying it back into making robots. Right? What was that? This is how I'm tying this whole conversation about houseboats back into making robots, except I think you have more enthusiasm for the robots than you do for your houseboat. I've been a little bit, I think my houseboat is like a little wrecked marriage from time to time because I'm just getting very tired of his bad behavior. It is January. I suspect in July it will be a lot more fun. Yeah, but then I'll probably not be in Sweden. Wait, are you coming back to San Francisco? Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum.
So let me get this right. You winter in Sweden?
I know.
You're doing this wrong.
Maybe, yeah.
It takes a long time to get visas. I kind of thought I would have my visa in February, but it's more plausible that I have it in April. So didn't pan out perfectly, but but yeah.
Well, when I talked to the iRobot, Chris Sveck guy, about putting a job ad in the show, he asked who was going to be on the show because he's smart enough not to just accept anybody. And he saw your videos and he said, "Oh yeah, ask her to apply for a position." So, I'm sure they can help.
Thank you.
Mostly, I think he wanted the chopping robot for himself.
Attach it to the front of a
copy
Roomba.
of it.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Apply to BattleBots for that one. Yeah, but I think I have some really epic plans that I'm pretty happy with. So,
but that you're not going to tell us about.
Not yet.
Okay.
But I think actually already next week, it's going to be made somewhat public.
Well, then I will look forward to hearing about it. And I have to wrap this up a little early. I have another appointment that I have to get to. So, Chris, do you have any more questions? No, he's shaking his head. And then now he's looking at me like he's confused. You all really should watch the podcast.
It's all very abrupt.
Was it? Oh, man, that's another comment we've gotten that I just sometimes end the podcast when I get bored. But I'm not bored. I'm just.
No,
now look what you're doing.
I have to go. I have to
I'll
shower
go.
this week, okay?
You have to shower this week.
And then I have to go to lunch.
What am I doing with this section?
I should just leave it in. Simone, do you have any last thoughts you'd like to leave us with? Now it's not abrupt anymore, see?
I wish I could come up with something smart, but I don't have anything. No, but if you're interested in SHITTI robots or other fun things,
I don't think
then
that's
you
how
should
you
subscribe
spell
to
that.
my YouTube channel.
Yes, it is.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
English is not my first language.
No, it's fine.
I'm just gonna blame it on that. SHITTI.
We're really.
No, there's a Y. It's this.
Oh, I? She said I?
Oh,
yeah,
why? Okay,
TTY.
sorry.
Oh, jeez.
It's called E in Swedish. Oh, sorry.
Are you sure you want to end this? This is the most fun I've had in a long time.
Yes. Okay, there will be a link in the show notes, which we won't bleep. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess there was one lightning question that I still had that I didn't ask.
Okay.
What
Okay, go ahead.
favorite, do you have any other YouTube channels that you personally really
very
enjoy?
good.
Oh, that was another one of those that I should have prepared for. There's this YouTube channel of this guy who makes tiny food for like
The hamsters?
hamsters.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. It's like whenever I get sad or tired of life, I just go to that and it kind of revives me. That's the only one I can think of.
That's a fine answer.
That is a great answer, yes.
Oh, thank you.
All right, I'm gonna, okay, yes. My guest has been Simone Yach, inventor and YouTuber. Thank you for being here, Simone, and for being so patient with us.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a ton of fun.
And listeners, thank you for listening. We do like to hear from you, even if it's how we should make the show better. Thank you also to Christopher for producing and co-hosting and husbanding. If you would like to talk to us, hit the link on embedded.fm or email us show@embedded.fm. You can also use that address to enter the favorite fictional robot contest to win a copy of my book. Or to join iRobot, you can email us there and I will forward it along. Or you can email Chris directly, csvec@irobot.com. They're both good options. We'll be here next week. In the meantime, I have a final thought to leave you with. It is from Dr. Seuss. It is not green eggs and ham. Maybe someday I'll do that for you. But today, this is a real quote from him. I like nonsense. It wakes up the brain cells. Fantasy is a necessary ingredient in living. It's a way of looking at life through the wrong end of the telescope, which is what I do, and that enables you to laugh at life's realities. Embedded FM is an independently produced radio show that focuses on the many aspects of engineering It is a production of Logical Elegance, an embedded software consulting company in California. If there are advertisements in the show, we did not put them there and do not receive any revenue from them. At this time, our sole sponsor remains Logical Elegance.